All right, welcome back. Martin Folse back here. We're in the studio now. We've been in the field all day talking to people, especially in another area, Ashland North, which was hard hit by Hurricane Ida. You can go in that general area, and I said 80 to 90% on my field reports of damage in that area. Joining me now, the FEMA rep in this area, Gerard Hammink. He's the FEMA Relations Specialist, and he comes back to the studio. And Mr. Hammink, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so last time you were here, you were just getting in, you were just getting your feet wet, so to speak.
Right.
What have you found or ascertained, and just maybe give us some general updates on what FEMA's done in the area?
Okay. Well, you know, I notice what everyone else notices, that there's still so much debris around, and just so people know that that is, you know, it depends upon, each disaster is a little different, but generally the local, you know, governments are in charge of that, and then they'll get reimbursed most of that cost by FEMA later. So I have not heard any updates about that, but I just want to acknowledge that, you know, there's a lot out there, and it does take a time to get that taken care of, but FEMA does help out your local government with that cost.
Let me ask you this, Gerard, because like I said, we went to Ashland North today. A lot of damage. We also went to the Home of Terrebonne Civic Center. A lot of trailers still on the ground there, and there seems to be a slow process of getting those trailers from the Civic Center to on site. But in fairness to FEMA, in fairness to GOSEF, in fairness to the engineering firm that handles it, y'all need specific things filled out from residents before you can deploy. What are those things? Because I want those trailers moved from the Civic Center, like you do, to the on-site location.
Yeah, so people, and you know, I was just speaking about debris, and maybe that's why you thought of it, because it is an issue that that private properties where people can get a trailer on their, you know, right in front of their house or behind it or on the side, you know, are common for this kind of mission, but often the debris needs to be removed to make that happen. And I have been hearing that that is the case in many circumstances.
Now, also in fairness to the public, maybe you could keep this name in mind. Miss Mary Adams, who lives in Ashland North, we just interviewed her. I think she's applied 7 times. She even cleared the lot. She showed us the lot. It was immaculate. I mean, it was perfect. So there are some hiccups in the system, but what is the actual system? FEMA sort of hands off to GOSEP, and GOSEP has, I think, Optum engineering.
Yeah, the FEMA and GOSEP are working in partnership, but it's 2 different tracks, really. Yeah. So, that is sort of 2 processes, I guess. So, you know, if you've already applied for FEMA with FEMA, then that's fine. You also need to apply at idashelteringla.com, or, you know, there are Ida Sheltering representatives at the Homa Civic Center to talk to people as well. All those trailers at the Civic Center are the ones that GOSEP now has, you know, possession of, and they're in their contractor, and they're working to, you know, move those out. So I think that you know, the state of the property is one of the big issues that comes into play. You know, with FEMA units, then there are additional steps, because with FEMA rules, the unit has to have its, you know, separate utilities. So setting that up does take extra time, and just so people understand that the 2 also the you know, I just think about why, I've said this before, I think that, you know, we really want these units to be safe and be able to function well for an extended period, a period longer than people would hope. But anyway, the state program is set up as sort of a 6-month program, while the FEMA's temporary housing program is set up as an 18-month plus program.
Why the difference? Because that in itself is confusing to me. Is why would they be any different if it's the same trailer?
Well, the state's just trying something new to try to bridge this gap between how the time it takes FEMA to get the program going and the need that's out there.
So the
right
state
now.
thinks they could come in and do it quicker, give FEMA more time to come in and do the long haul.
Yes, and the FEMA and the state requirements are different, so they hope to get that out.
Doc, I'm sure by now you've seen my interviews with Miss Mary Adams. You've seen my interviews with the Falgoos, all in Ashland North. Mr. Cutting, a lot of people in that area been hit pretty hard. And it seems to me some people have their FEMA trailers. Miss Adams said Martin FEMA trailers are arriving daily here, but I think she told me she's been there at least 5 times at one location and 3 times at another location to apply. So Gerard, in the case, and I know you don't have her file, so it's an unfair advantage, but maybe in general, what is somebody like Miss Mary Adams doing wrong that the neighbor next door did right? Because she seems to have done everything that she thinks is in her power. She doesn't have internet back at home, so she has to go on location to fill it out. So she's spending a lot of time traveling there, but still no FEMA trailer.
Yeah, it's every situation is different, and I think it's really tough when she can't access the internet, because that's the primary way for people to check on their cases, to communicate with FEMA and send updates. And then maybe her phone services, cell phone service is spotty sometimes too.
It is. We were in that area.
Yeah. So that creates an additional barrier. That is why we do have the disaster recovery centers. I was just over at the Homa Civic Center where our disaster recovery center is, and they've kind of set up a tent in the parking lot to accommodate more people, and so they're both in the parking lot and in the lobby area there of the Civic Center. So I guess it's really hard to know what her case is, but did she? I don't know. Did she say that they told her it was coming, or? She
went to the school, which is right down the road from her, and she applied there. They had a FEMA rep there for a while. Then she went to the Civic Center. I think she told me 3 times, and she said she's done everything she can, but they keep telling her to do more things online. She does not have online, so she can't do it. She's going back and forth, and she made a plea to us today. I don't recall the address exactly, but it is Mary Adams, and it's off camera. I can definitely get you that. Maybe you could just check it out for her, because she's a very nice, hard-working woman. Her husband died of a heart attack in the house. She has a young grandson that has heart problems. So I really felt for her when I was interviewing her, but she seems to be making a lot of trips. And most of the people that are complaining say they've exhausted their amount of time, and they think they're going to get it, and then they realize it's going nowhere. So they're frustrated.
It's we talked about this. It's slow. It just is a methodical process, and but it will get done. It's just going to take more time than people would really like.
And then Mr. Falgu, we showed up at his home. He was in an old tin shed with a tent inside because his trailer was blown apart. And normally they go by the magnitude of the damage of your trailer. But I looked at his trailer, it's unlivable. I mean, the walls have imploded. And so he's living in a tent, and he's a little bit down the road from Miss Mary Adams. So in Ashland North, like anywhere else, you can just almost stamp the damage. It's everywhere. And his frustration too is he went several times and, you know, no
Yeah,
response.
it is important for people to make sure that in the system that they are the right boxes checked, actually, because sometimes the question might be if the if the question isn't asked correctly, they might say, yeah, I'm living at my property, and well, they are, but not in a state that's
But
acceptable.
shouldn't the rep be knowledgeable that
Yeah,
they
and
would
I
ask
think
that?
that's rare, but you just have to make sure that FEMA understands your situation, because they are dealing with a lot of cases, and sometimes things get put in the wrong category.
Is FEMA undermanned? Do y'all need more manpower for FEMA?
The staffing, I just don't, I don't know what that currently is. We definitely,
Because I'm just
staff
hoping,
up.
if we're not
at
the example, I'm just hoping, even if Terrebonne becomes the example for a future in Lafourche, that the process can just be so much
Right.
better. And I
Right.
think that's all of our hope, is just to get it more efficient,
Right.
So, what have you learned? What do you think you're doing good, Gerard? What do you think y'all need a little work on?
Well, I think that the harder cases are just harder, because we have gotten a lot of money out to individual assistance application who've applied, and I can give you a little update on that.
Yeah, give me an update.
As of October 29, there were more than 536 applications approved, and that's grants totaling more than $900 million. And so for Lafourche, that's about 26,000 grants and totaling more than $884 million. And for Terrebonne, that's about 31,000 grants, and that's totaling more than $104 million. So we have put a lot of money into people's bank accounts. Many of those are for home repair assistance, and so we do know that some people are moving forward with their recovery efforts. Unfortunately, the housing program just takes time, and so again, that's why the state is going to try this IDA sheltering program.
I was talking to Mr. John Mitchell, who is with Aptum, whom I understand GOSEP goes to for his company to get all these trailers out and to get them moving. And we did drone footage over the Civic Center today, and I saw all these trailers. But in fairness to him, he explained, he said, Martin, those move every 2 to 3 days, and we replace them, so it always looks like it's full. And I'm going, I understand that, but there's so many people in the field still asking for trailers that there's some disconnect between the supplier and the people that are in demand. So I'm trying to, why don't you lay it out with 5 minutes left? Do we just need to harp on people watching? If you go to the FEMA Center and you go to fill out an application for a trailer, you make sure you cross your T and dot your I, because if you don't, it's coming back and you're going to get kickback.
Right. And I was just reminded of this this weekend. People need to try to facilitate the inspections and the communication. It's a pain in the neck, because they're going to get phone calls from numbers they don't recognize. And I get these phone calls, and most of them are not relevant to me. And so unfortunately right now, for people who are in this situation, who are waiting for FEMA to call them or waiting for an inspection, they really need to answer those phone calls, even though maybe most of them are going to be the recorded message, or even some
John Mitchell told me the same thing. He said, Martin, he said, we're trying to call people back. We have received some of the databases from the utility companies, Sleek and City of Houma and Energy, but they're not answering their phones. So that's a good point. But for future, even if you could do it now, something that identifies that phone call instead of it saying spam call, which a lot of them do. It might
Right,
say
right.
FEMA or
Right,
something. You know?
right. That's definitely something that could happen in the future.
Bring that down the pipe. You
Okay.
know, yeah, bring that down the pipe because
Okay.
that could help them. Because you're right, some people are going to get called spam. I'm not answering because it
Yeah,
could
I think
damage my
people
phone.
can always be asking, well, what else can I do? Is there anything else I can do to try to make this move faster? And sometimes the answer is going to be no, you just have to wait, unfortunately. But if you try to take that sort of problem-solving attitude, I think that can help, so that you just understand that there are maybe things that can happen or information that's needed, and just talking about FEMA assistance in general. If you can, ask that question that way, maybe there's some other option that's, available for assistance.
But I think the information or the message for today would be obviously FEMA and GOSEP are looking for more answers than the public is giving when they're filling out these applications. So I would just tell the public, go in there loaded for bear and fill out everything and mark everything down and make sure you got space,
Exactly.
clean space. Make sure you got a place for the trailer. Make sure you have utilities. Make sure you have power. Where are they going to put it? Make sure everything is done to where when the inspector goes out there, they don't go, nope, there's debris where the trailer would go. Message of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I
So
think that's true.
meticulous. They have to be meticulous, I guess, with their, and
And I'm sure that's frustrating because if you were, I'm sure it's frustrating in many ways, but
well,
if you can
it's
just
not
try
all,
to work it.
I see it, and if I wouldn't see it every day, Gerard, I wouldn't even be sitting here talking to you about
Right,
it. But I see
right.
Mary Adams, and I see the Falgoos, and when I see people living in tents, and to be honest, we have air conditioning here, we have a nice place. The FEMA tent is nice. It's air conditioned. So let's all be fair. I mean, when we see our fellow person living in a tent and it's been this long, they really need some help.
Yeah, yeah. And, certainly there's many people still in hotel rooms paid for by FEMA, but obviously those hotel rooms are not close to where their
Right.
homes are.
Some of them in
or
Texas,
where their work, or where their
I
work
think they want to be
is.
home, you know?
Yeah, so we understand that. So you can be, it's totally permissible to, obviously, to live in a tent while you're waiting for your FEMA trailer. It's just you have to make sure it's clear that your housing situation is not your house. Your real house is not livable.
Well, I've seen some
And
of the tents in their makeshift tents. They're not even nice tents that you would get from Academy or anything. They makeshift their own with the vinyl, the blue tarps, and and I got to give it to them. Some of the people we see are the kindest, most gentle people, and they just seem to do it. But I guess I might be more in despair than some of these people because they're used to it by now. But we got to fight for those people.
Yeah.
And I think you would agree.
Yes, I agree.
You get the closing words.
I'll just repeat, the basic information, disasterassistance.gov if you haven't applied and you think you might need some help. 800-621-3362 is the FEMA helpline.
All right. Thanks a lot, Gerard. We appreciate it, and I'll probably do an update with you next week once again.
Okay.
Gerard Hammink from FEMA. We'll take a break. Got a lot more. We've been on the ground a lot, so we'll see you right across the break.